family-owned shop in Loganville, Soesby's Garage, for all your automotive repair needs. We service all makes and models, foreign and domestic. We repair engines, alternators, brakes, alignments, AC systems, and more, using certified technicians with over 90 years of combined experience. We also offer same-day service for some repairs. Soesby's Garage, 200 Bay Creek Road in Loganville. Dependable, honest, and fair. Look us up on Google or Facebook. We'll take good care of you.
Broadcasting live from the Subaru of Gwinnett studio inside the Sonesta Gwinnett Place Atlanta Hotel. It's time for Case in Point, presented by Paradigm Security Services. We are the cornerstone of security in the Southeast.
Welcome, everyone, once again to Case in Point, presented by Paradigm Security Services. I'm your host, Rick Strawn, President of Paradigm Security Services, and we're excited to be with you today on Business RadioX. We're coming to you live from the Subaru of Gwinnett Atlanta studio, located in the beautiful Sonesta Gwinnett Place Atlanta Hotel in Duluth, Georgia. Each week we plan to feature businesses in the Atlanta area, especially those that serve Gwinnett County. While all businesses have security concerns, not all are about physical security, and we will touch on that and all related aspects of security through the course of each show. Our guest today is James Spurgeon. He happens to be the Director of Security for Paradigm Security Services. I decided that this might be a good time to actually talk security on the Case in Point. So we wanted to get James in here and kind of address what Paradigm is, what we do, and specifically what it's like to be the Director of Operations for a security company. So let's just start out with, who is James Spurgeon?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. Good morning, Rick. It's a pleasure to be here. Again, I am James Spurgeon, and I am currently the Director of Operations at Paradigm Security. I come to Georgia. I've been here a little bit less than a year, and I'm a West Coast guy, as everybody constantly reminds me. I've spent about 30 years in law enforcement at various levels, and that's where I first whet my appetite for the safety and security field. And during my law enforcement career, I worked my way up and ultimately was a chief of police, and so I have some experience in management and operations on the law enforcement side. And recently I have served as the director for Paradigm Security, and it has been an eye-opening experience, very gratifying, a lot of hard work, rewarding hard work, but it is good to see us make progress every day and move forward. And I'm, again, new in the area. I have a family, a wife and 3 kids, and we're thrilled to be here in Georgia.
Well, we're thrilled to have you here and thrilled to have you associated with Paradigm Security. You know, a lot of people don't really understand the inner workings of a security company and how things work. You know, they just see the officer that shows up on their site. They've got their expectations they want them to do. They really don't understand all the stuff that goes on behind the scenes, which there is a tremendous amount. What would you say the basic duties and responsibilities of a private security director operations are?
That's a great question.
Where do you start?
Yeah. Coming from a law enforcement background and being essentially a civil servant, I am used to answering to the public and, handling calls for service and running a department where I have many officers who are going out and doing their duties and going about their jobs every day. As I've come to the private security side of it, many of my duties are the same, and they parallel that of being a police chief or a police administrator, but also many of them are much more intimate and client-based. I am now building relationships with our clients, and I want to make sure that the services that they are looking for in their security needs are met. And that is my job in a nutshell, to make sure that our company, my officers, and everyone else are operationally in tune with what our client wants, as opposed to the law enforcement when we were chasing the radio and going from call to call and just kind of making sure everybody, was generically safe. Now I want to make sure that each and every client is satisfied to the utmost, and they are free to address me with any shortcomings or ideas or anything like that. And that's the major difference I see between the two.
So it's more of a partnership with our clients than it is a client-vendor relationship. It's more like developing and being a part of their team.
Exactly that. Even with other security companies, it is a vendor relationship, with the client, and we are different in that respect. And I think that a lot is a personal touch from our business development manager to me and everyone else in the company. We try to establish and maintain that one-on-one relationship with the client, and are held accountable to their requests. And I think that is what kind of makes us different from other companies.
And that's a good point, is that personal relationship. And, the old saying that I try to tell our clients and stuff is that, I can't fix something if I don't know what's broken. And so you have to have that total openness, and with the expectation that, come to us if there's something wrong, because we can't address it if we don't know. Don't let it fester. Don't let, small problems are just that. They're small, they're fixable, but the perception is reality. If you don't do anything about them, they seem to escalate, and then by the time that you finally get around to saying something, they become monsters to you, when really they could have been solved with a simple phone call a lot of times, and directing the officer. What would you say are the biggest challenges that you face as the director of operations?
That will go back to our previous question a little bit in, maintaining that personal one-on-one intimate relationship with the client. They do take advantage of that, and they're encouraged to do so. They call me regularly, and, they want me to address any certain questions or needs they may have. And a big part of accomplishing my mission is that, but it also raises the challenges. Like most any other company or business in the area, and these days in 2019, staffing is always a concern. We're always looking to hire good people, and when you hire good people who are professional and ethical, it makes my job much, much easier, and I'm able to use those people in key spots to make our clients happy. But the bottom line is that meeting the main challenge is to make sure that every day when I meet with our clients or to speak with them, that we're on the same page and everything's going well. And that's an ongoing challenge. It changes every day or every night as may be. I'm available 24 hours a day, and sometimes they call to get a question answered or get a situation remedied, and we take care of it.
Well, and you brought up a very important question, which is staffing. And with this economy the way it is, we all know, and I think every business is finding out now, that the way I look at it is those that really want a job have one, and you have a lot of people that are kind of looking, kind of want one, that are out there looking. Then you do have a few that really want a job that they're maybe in the career field of security, because it's not something that, the way I look at Paradigm's staffing is, it's more of we've got a career for you, not a job for you. And if you go to it with that focus, or come into it with that focus, we all tend to see a lot better job done out of that person, because they have ownership. So, with that staffing, what would someone look at hiring a private security company for? Or, in fact, let's just go back with the hiring. What do you look for when you're hiring in the private security officer field of view?
Well, to start with, what you mentioned a few seconds ago, security can be a career, and oftentimes I think most people stumble into it and find that they have a certain comfort level with it, and they're good at it. And it may not be something they were initially looking for, but it becomes their niche. We have several officers who are long-term, long-tenured officers at our company, and they have been promoted accordingly, or they work positions or posts or patrols that they really like, and they enjoy coming to work every day. I actually don't get to know them too well because they're so efficient. They just come in and go to work, and they work their schedules, and they turn things in, and things are nice and quiet on their fronts, which makes my job much simpler.
Do everything they're really supposed to do.
Correct. They come in and they do what they're supposed to do, and our clients love them, and they're kind of like under the radar, so to speak. So I don't get to see them too often because they're usually working nights. But there are people who come in and use security as a second job. They'll come here and they'll work for us part-time, which is understandable. Some of them are students. Some of them are single parents. But others of them are just kind of exploring, looking around for a place where they can land and they can be happy and do the job effectively. And every once in a while, that diamond in the rough shows up, and we get them, and they stay with us indefinitely, and they make a career out of security. And of course, ideally, that is what we're looking for, someone who loves coming to work every day, who is dependable and shows up and does their job. But, there are the ones that have other lives and other second jobs and things like that, and we try to work with them accordingly. And when we're looking to hire people, we look at everyone, and, if someone wants to come and work, we'll certainly give them the opportunity. And we provide them with the posts and the opportunity to do the work. And hopefully it will grow on them, and they grow on it, and they become full-time employees, and before you know it, they're here longer than everyone else.
Well, and, acknowledging people that do a good job is very important. And a lot of times it's more important than necessarily the pay. So what is it that you do to help acknowledge these people that are doing a good job?
Well, at Paradigm, we have several areas of recognition. We have a lot of training, and that's something I meant to mention before. When you get hired at our company, you're given a mandatory 3-day training course, which provides your certification and other skill areas that many other companies don't offer. These help you round yourself out as a better security officer and hopefully make yourself able to address some of the things you may encounter on a daily basis. But along those lines, we have several different areas of training. We have supervisory training and tier training for people who are looking for promotion and want to stay with the company long. We have some specialized training, everything from patrol to we have defensive tactics training. We have some active shooter stuff we're doing and firearms and a lot of different areas we're reaching out.
De-escalation.
Correct. De-escalation, verbal judo, so to speak. And we're ever changing, and we're constantly upgrading our training division and trying to provide more opportunities and more areas of expertise that the officers can indulge in if they choose to. Those are just some of the ways that we can reward long-term officers who are looking for career in security. Aside from the fiscal advantages, there are other sites that we can promote them to, supervision sites. There's a lot of different things to do and a lot of things to look at. And like I said, I'm very open-minded, and I love hearing new ideas, and sometimes someone will come up with one, and we'll plug it in, and it'll work.
Yeah, and I think one of the most successful acknowledgments that the company has done in the last several years is creating an Officer of the Month position and acknowledgement where they receive certain perks and they receive acknowledgement on social media as well as through the company of that they have done such an outstanding job. A lot of times that's based on client accolades, just certain things that they may do in their job that just stand out. But it's those officers that really stand out that, we acknowledge that. We give them a good pat on the back and reward them monetarily in some ways and just give them a big thank you.
That is correct. The Officer of the Month is actually kind of a big deal. As you said, they are recognized by the company, and they are giving certain, financial incentives for that. And, of course, at the end of the year, I've only been here 6-7 months, but I know we had our banquet in which all of our Officers of the Month were treated by you, and it turned out to be quite a festival, and it was something that everybody looked forward to and enjoyed, and I look forward to the next one.
And promote and acknowledge someone as Officer of the Year.
Correct. We had an Officer of the Year and several promotions during that event as well.
Yep. And that's something I've found that as we move through this career is, if you don't learn something today, you probably haven't been paying attention, and that's every day. And as I've gone through this, we've learned that, there are ways that, like I say, sometimes it's not about the pay. Sometimes it's just about feeling appreciated for the job that you're doing. And there are just a lot of ways that they change every day as to how you can acknowledge that person and let them know that you really appreciate them. When you look at this, I ask you about, some of your biggest challenges. What is your most satisfying win or your most satisfying wins as a director?
So far, I can say, and I haven't had too many opportunities to do this, but when I am able to engage with a potential client, this is a kind of a marketing thing that I'm still learning. And again, coming from law enforcement, I was never put into a place where I had to, see what it is that a client wanted and see if we could supply that product. And I've had occasion to go with, again, our business development manager and meet with potential clients and walk their grounds and find out what their needs were and get to know them a little bit and see what we could provide. And during the course of that interaction, sometimes it takes a couple months, we end up earning a contract with them, and we go boots on the ground and start fulfilling all the things that we said we could fulfill, providing the security and the checkpoints and all the things that they want out of an effective security company. And then to see us go into action doing that and the fruition of the cooperation with the client, and then several months down the road, seeing that, they're very happy with what we've done. To me, so far, that has been one of my most satisfying things, and it's an ongoing thing. I mean, every single day it causes some stress, and there's a lot of work involved. But to see them happy with our services at the end of the day, those things are very noteworthy to me.
Yeah, and one of the things I think that kind of separates Paradigm from a lot of your security companies is the fact that in the upper level of the ownership and then the top management of the operations are both past law enforcement experienced people. So we bring that expertise into the private security industry from public, and it gives us kind of a look from a different viewpoint than a lot of times your people that have been in private security forever really look at. It's just a different way of looking at it. And when you combine that with the years and years of experience from the development officer, director, Chris Beatty, when you add those two things together, it's just amazing what you can come up with. And I think part of it is being honest enough to tell a future client that that's not something that you either really want to do and this is why, or that's not something we can do and this is why. Being willing to say we can't do that and here's why you don't want to do it that way, but have you thought about this and try it a different direction?
That is a huge selling point, especially with the law enforcement backgrounds of you and me and some others. And, that's something Chris is very good at. And that, we often tell clients that, this is something we just can't do because it's not possible or because it's a very bad idea. And they listen. They often ask for, our experienced opinions on things, both from a law enforcement and a security point of view. And so far, they've pretty much always taken our advice, and sometimes they may want more questions on something, and we'll answer those for them, and they end up having a little bit more knowledge in the area, and they seem to be grateful for it.
Well, and I think one of the most important things is being willing to go in there and, and just approach it from I'm not here to sell you on using us. I'm not here to sell you security. I'm here to see if we have something that you need, if what we can do will help you, if we can satisfy your needs, and is it beneficial to both of us for us to come in here and work with you? Basically, to help you make an informed decision as to what your needs really are. And if you don't choose us, that's fine, but you may go a different route. But if you do, at least make an informed decision about it.
Very true.
You mentioned going out on these new clients. What's really involved in setting up a new client? I know that's depends on the type of client, but just as a general overview, what's involved when you go out to look at and set up a client?
Well, when we meet with a client, and it could be anything from a living community that's in a high-rise or a garden-style community that spans several acres. It could be a retail establishment. It could be a hotel. It could be a small strip mall or a construction site or anything like that. But what we want to do is we want to meet with the client and find out what their needs are and why is it that they're requesting security in the first place. It may be something specific or something general. But we'd like to meet with them, kind of find out what it is that they're looking for and see if it matches with what we provide. And then we'll go do a physical inspection of the property and find out, where their potential shortcomings may be or what their strengths are. And we'll walk the grounds with them and try to find out, exactly what we can do to shore things up and make things more effective for them. Once we do that and they've agreed to utilize our services, we'll go out again. Again, Chris Beatty, the aforementioned Chris Beatty and I or someone else will go out and we'll do, again, another physical walkthrough of the property and try to determine the points where security is needed most. It may be a parking structure in a shopping mall or, whatever the case may be. And then we will put up some scans or some computer ID tags, so to speak, and in strategic spots, and our officers will make sure that they visit those several times during a shift, and it will be recorded during a report. And the client will get to see what it is we're doing on a daily basis, and they'll get to walk the grounds as much as they want. And then we also address sometimes maintenance issues. It could be lights or broken doors or unsecured gates. That's part of our duties as well. And they are very generally appreciative of that because they get to see what needs to be fixed and what's been vandalized and things like that, and they can repair those. And for the most part, we just do that on a daily basis, make sure things are safe and sound, and maintain that open line of communication with them. So if there are any changes, either direction, we're notified promptly.
Well, one of the things, and that's great information, one of the things that I know Paradigm has gotten more and more involved in over the last few years is putting our fleet of 14 vehicles out there as a patrol for different things. We do a couple of the CIDs, Gwinnett Place CID, and then Gateway 85 CID. And then we're doing a lot of alarm responses now with the developments in Sandy Springs and things like that, where we do verifications and stuff. When you're looking at patrols, a patrol officer, what do you really look for?
Well, the qualities of a patrol officer, need to be vetted very carefully. First of all, they're operating a motor vehicle, which, of course, you need the required licensing for, but you also need some good common sense to drive the streets of Atlanta, as everyone around here knows. But our officers are assigned specific areas of patrol, and they do these patrols. So we're looking for officers to work our patrol duties that have demonstrated a high level of responsibility and are professional in every way, that can learn a geographic area and are able to safely maneuver their patrol vehicles to these areas at different times. Some of them may be responding to a call, and they need to do so, promptly and safely. These officers need to know how to handle a situation or a response to a situation in a different area. They need to be able to write literally and document what they do, and they need to do this on a nightly basis. And they need to establish good relationships with the vendors and the other businesses that are out there on their patrols. And we like for them to go in and meet the people face to face and get on first name basis with them, so they recognize the clients when they see them. It takes a little bit of while to groom and train a patrol officer to where we want them to be, but that's why it's a process we put them through. They get a little bit of extra training, and they're valuable assets to Paradigm.
Totally agree. What would you say are the target businesses for Paradigm? I know what they are, but I'd like to share it with our listeners.
Well, as I mentioned to you before, Paradigm, we're open to working with anyone, and there may be some businesses we have not addressed yet that will be future challenges, I'm hoping. But as it stands now, we have numerous living communities. That's what I call them. I guess they're like apartments and things like that are in different areas of the counties and cities. Some of them are skyscrapers. Some of them are, like I said, garden style, where they're spread out a bit. We have a lot of those clients, and our officers assigned to them have established pretty good working relationships with the clients on a face-to-face. We have a lot of construction sites, buildings that are being built and put up, and they're long-term contracts, and our officers go there, and they're sometimes 24 hours a day. And again, they have a job to do, and we've established great relationships with the construction companies that do those. We have individual businesses. There are parts of strip malls, such as retail establishments everywhere. We have the Bed Bath & Beyond and Bath Body Works and stores like that we go to regularly and patrol. We have, as you mentioned, the GPCID patrols and the Gateway 85 patrols. And our newest endeavor is the alarm responses. This is a new thing, at least new for Georgia, where many of the law enforcement agencies' resources are stretched so thin that they cannot always respond to residential burglar alarms. And this has been a thing for 20, 30 years, and only now are a lot of police agencies beginning to see that their resources are being abused in that area, and they're declining to respond to those. And the alarm monitoring companies are looking for a solution, and we, Paradigm Security, and other companies like us are that solution. So we have embarked on a new, what's the word I'm looking for? Enterprise, I guess, yeah. In which we're now responding to alarm response, and it's growing every day, and it's an exciting new area, and it has some speed bumps because as we do it, we learn from it, Me especially, I'm learning from some of the mistakes I'm making, as few as they are.
Logistically, but
Yeah.
not really.
Yeah, but it's a great new thing, and it's gonna be a wonderful thing for our entire profession.
Well, one of the things that the alarms have done is we've been able to get in on the ground floor here, and actually it's a learning experience for the alarm companies, and it's a learning experience for the patrol company. And it's been a very interesting process to develop. You've developed a terrific procedure, a standing operating procedure for our company to put in our procedures and policies that deals directly with this. And on the area of construction, we've been in the construction industry business with police officers as well as private security since 1988. I think about that, and I think it's hard to believe that we've actually been doing this since 1988. It's just amazing.
Longer than most of our officers have been on the planet.
Well, it feels sometimes like longer than I've been on the planet. But, when somebody's looking for a private security company, what should they be looking for when they look to hire one, as far as what should they look for in the company?
That's a great question. You mentioned earlier about sometimes we go to a client and, we don't want to sell them our services. I mean, we want to, but if they choose to go another way, that's fine. And I have seen our business guy, Chris Beatty, several times recommend another company because sometimes they can provide to that client what we cannot. And that's all about transparency. Sometimes we'll tell them we can't do this, but we know somebody who can, and they do a good job. I am learning that a lot of this is past word, mouth to mouth, I guess you would say, word of mouth. People hear about us. Many of our client referrals are from existing clients because they like the job we do, and they know that people are looking. They have friends in their network area of property management or whatever, and they'll say, "Hey, we use Paradigm. We have them for 10 of our different properties." And they'll refer us, they'll refer them to us, and they'll reach out to us, and next thing you know, we have 3 or 4 of their properties too. So I think reputation is a big deal for potential clients. Longevity, as you said, 30 years is a long time, and a lot of these companies, they show up and then they're gone. So a security company in a metropolitan area like Atlanta who has survived and walked the walk over all these years, that's something to look at and to consider when you're hiring a company. There's a lot of different aspects, everything from, appearances and professionalism to availability to geographical areas. We often get calls from people who have been referred that are just in areas out of our area of expertise. Down in South Georgia, that are several hours away. They'll say, "We've heard about you and we want to hire you, but we just can't do it," and we'll refer them to someone else. But, a combination of those things, longevity, experience, professionalism, and reputation. I think
the culture of the company as well. It's sometimes hard to understand, but when you talk to the people that are in the management, a lot of times you can come up with a feel for what the culture is of mutual respect and like a family.
Most certainly. And also something that I see that Paradigm does that I have not seen from other companies. Again, you mentioned our upper management. We try to establish that face-to-face intimate relationship with the client. And even before we have established a professional relationship, I will go out there and meet with them face-to-face, as I'm doing later today, and let them know who we are and be responsive to their needs 24 hours a day. And they don't need to wait 48, 72 hours a week for a response from management. We will get to them immediately, and they know that they can reach out to someone like me personally rather than have to wait for a response.
Well, and that brings up a good question for the last questions as we're running out of time. How does someone contact you or Paradigm to talk about their security needs?
Well, we're always looking for people to reach out to us and contact us because it's an exciting new chapter in everybody's book. The best way is to reach us by phone. We are at 678-684-4400. They can always go on to our website, which is
www.paradigm, P-A-R-A-D as in Delta I-G-M, security.net.
That. I knew that. Anyway, we're always looking for people to call us and reach out to us, and we'd love to discuss your security needs.
Well, and, feel free to call us anytime. And if you're looking for a job in security, we're always hiring. Our academy is excellent. We're changing it, developing it, improving it all the time. And we're always looking for good officers that want to work. If you know anybody that needs a job and might be interested and wants a career or they just need some extra time, but they have that integrity and those social skills that'll help us out. We'd love to talk to them. They can call that number, which is again 678-684-4400 at Paradigm Security Services. Well, I want to thank you for coming on here and talking with us, James. Great conversation. It's one that's been wanted to have for a while. So, talk a little bit about Paradigm Security is a good thing for change.
Thanks for having me.
And I want to thank all of you for joining us in Case in Point, presented by Paradigm Security Services. Remember, you can join us live every Wednesday at 11:30 in the morning, or you can listen to our show anytime you want by going to businessradiox.com, clicking on the Gwinnett Studio, and then click on, of course, Case in Point. Join us next week at 11:30 when we will talk with business leaders about their businesses and related security issues in today's world. And again, thanks again, James. And for our producers, Mike and Trey, I'm Rick Strawn. And remember, at Paradigm Security Services, we cover more than just your assets.